more sense. And I have a few other things, some of them from a presentation I gave to Castle Park a little over a year ago now, so I don't think you guys have seen it before, as well as some new stuff. And Rudy, just quick question, is there anything in the chat?
No, but you know what I'm going to do is I'm recording what you're doing right now on the screen, so this way I can put it in our class stream on Google Classroom, and so that might generate more questions later on.
Yeah, just let me know if there's anything that pops up in the chat, because I can't see it right now.
Okay, will do.
Cool. So let's try and get started with what you guys seen before. So you guys have seen this before, except now it's a lot more relevant, I think. And it's basically the turtle designs. I mentioned that I made these when I first started coding ever. And at this stage, I believe you can do this as well. So here is turtle, except it's drawing a tree. And I know a few of you are interested in art using code. And so this, I feel like this would be the perfect way to generate some sort of art, is using turtle to draw your whatever you want. And so let's take a look at, so that was a tree. We can take a look at a spiral, right? So this is all generated using code in turtle, okay? And if we take a look at that code really quick, actually, you can see exactly, it looks very similar to what you've been learning this entire time. So it's okay, we're creating a turtle, we're saving it into this variable, we're setting the speed, and we're setting the shape equal to a turtle. And then from there, we just, we go forward or we turn at a certain angle. Okay, so it works exactly like how you've been doing it before, just slightly more complicated. And if you look at the tree, for example, also same deal. We're initializing a turtle, saving it into this variable. We're setting the speed, we're setting the shape of the turtle, and then we're turning it left and right and going forward, backward, so on and so forth. Now, here is turtle drawing a snowflake, as you guys might recall. Very fun stuff. And so this is hopefully especially interesting for those who wanted to do some sort of art. Now, here's our first game that you guys, that I showed you guys last time, which is playing Pong versus an AI, or a robot, I guess. And this, again, is completely done in turtle, believe it or not. So given your skills right now, you can also code this up. Let's take a look at the code real quick. Yeah, see that? So we're using turtle again. There's some stuff that you might have not seen before, but you can always do more of that research in the next 3 months. So this 3 months is all for you to sort of look things up and see how to do things. Okay, so that was that. Let's go ahead and look at something a little bit more advanced when it comes to art, using turtle to generate art. So here is something that I actually wrote really quickly as a sort of digital Christmas card for my mom. And I wrote this using basically the turtle library. And you can see that using the turtle library, you can actually get really far with art, essentially. So here's me drawing a little snowman. And again, this is all done using turtle in Python. So we're drawing little snowflakes right here. And then here's my little message. And the snowman was all drawn from scratch. So if you noticed earlier, it drew each piece individually. Okay, and it looks like this is a circle. This looks like a larger circle, and this looks like an even larger circle. So if I were to code this up, I would think, okay, well, a snowman is just 3 circles on top of each other, one bigger than this than the previous, right? Where the top is the smallest, middle is the second smallest, and then the bottom is the largest. And so maybe one thing that I can do is, okay, well, turtle already has a circle function, right? Where if I call it, it'll generate a circle for me, depending on how large I specify. So I can say, as a turtle, I'm going to set my position right here, right, my XY position, and I'm going to generate a circle. Then I'm going to move down some number of pixels, and then I'm going to generate another circle. And then I'm going to move down my turtle again, and then generate another circle. And so that's your body of the snowman. And if you look at the eyes, for example, two circles, right? One representing the entire eye and another one representing the pupil. And the same thing with the other eye. So it's really just a bunch of shapes. As for the nose, you can see it's a bit of a triangle. You could specify the color by just saying it's orange in the arguments. And then this, you can be a little bit more creative about the text. But this, again, is done completely in Turtle. And so you should have all the resources, or at least all the knowledge to be able to do this. Maybe not right off the top of your head, but certainly, you know, hopefully you should have some ideas as to how that can be implemented. So that was my Christmas card, and that was one of the more advanced arts that you can generate. But I saw a lot of you guys are interested in games, and lucky for you, I have a ton of games at hand to show you guys. So here is something that I actually modified. I took online and modified just this last Christmas. And this is basically a game that you can play. We're going to take a look at the quick code. So this no longer uses Turtle, but it uses something called Pygame, which if you want to create a video game in Python, I highly recommend you use this library. Okay, so this is basically the way to create simple games in Python. I saw a lot of you guys were listing games like Prop Hunt or Minecraft and all that. And I really say great ideas, and you're really creative, and go you. Might be a little complicated though, especially for you guys who basically started coding about half a year ago. So Minecraft, you know, Fortnite, Prop Hunt, Gary's Mod, those things are developed over many years by entire teams of full professionals. And so it might be a little bit difficult for you to also create it within the 3-month time span. Now, there are other ways to do this though. So you don't actually have to create the games from scratch. In fact, I'm about to show you a few games where you can basically take the game online and modify it to your desires. Okay. And it doesn't, you don't even need to modify the game necessarily. You can maybe create an entire interface around the game where you're saying, okay, well, I have the game that was developed by some dude online, but what I want, instead of just having this game, is I want to be able to prompt the user. So get the user's opinion on what I want to do. And so I'll show you guys how I did it in this. So I basically took this game online, okay? And the way to run it is to say, okay, well, Python normal game.py. Maybe I should go in interactive mode. And then I just called normal game, this function right here. And what it's going to do is it's going to bring up this little Pygame window. And here I am playing the game now. Okay, so I just basically, I can move up and down as Santa, and I have to collect the presents, and they're going to speed up over time. And I have a little score right here in which I have to reach 40 in order to win. So this is the little Santa game that was originally taken online. I took it from some random dude online. And you can totally do that too. I'm not, you know, you don't have to code this up from scratch if it's too difficult. Instead, you know, if you're interested in doing games, recommend that you just find some game online and then either modify their existing code or just build an application around their game, around their code. That's totally feasible as well. Okay, so this was the game, and in order to run it, I had to, let me just get out of here. I have to run this command right here, which, you know, depending on how tech savvy you are, might not be the most feasible. You know, we want this to be more user friendly. So I developed a little application. So I basically created an application and wrapped it around this game for my Christmas project. Okay, and so here it is. Not a lot of code. And what this does is it gives me an interface to work with so that I don't have to call that command in order to run the game. In fact, if I just run my code here, you're going to see that I prompt the user very shortly. Oh, okay. Let that run for a second. Okay, so look. Hello, very special person in Eric's life, to Eric's holiday special for 2020, featuring a game Eric took online at this website right here. We're going to copy and paste that real quick. Okay, so I took it from this guy here. And you can too if you want as well. But let's see, except he modified it and added artificial intelligence to beat it. You don't need to do this part, but I did it for fun. So hopefully you enjoy this game with your family and friends, and happy holidays. So down here is where you can do something similar. Okay, so it asks here, do you want to play a normal Christmas game or use AI to absolutely beat Christmas with Santa? Now, what it's asking here is for input. Okay, so if you want a normal game like what we just played, just press 1 and enter. If you want an AI game, press 2 and enter. Okay, so let's say I want a normal game. I'm going to press 1 and I'm going to hit enter. And now it brings up my little game. Okay, and now I can just play the game like what we just did. Whoa, it's really fast. Don't worry about that. So this is something that you can do as well, right? You can take the game online and install it and just use their game, so long as it's, so long as they said you can just use my game, use my code, and just take it, and you don't need to reference me or anything. And then from there, you can generate this little application around that game. I'll show this again in just a second, as I'll just write one from scratch, and then we can all do it together. But that was the Christmas game. Unless you guys want to see the AI part. If just let me know in the chat if you want to see an AI beat the video game. But otherwise, we can take a look at some other stuff. So I think these three are especially interesting.
Yeah, there's people saying they want to see it.
They want to see the AI beat it? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I basically use some of the stuff I do in research. So I do research in AI, specifically with autonomous cars. So any of the stuff that you see in Tesla vehicles, like Tesla Model X and whatever, the same code that they do in there, I'm basically trying to do research on that. And so my whole thing is about seeing how cars learn and seeing if cars can learn how to drive by themselves and how safe we can make them. And a lot of the algorithms that you see in Tesla vehicles, for example, in autonomous cars and robotics and stocks and all that jazz, exact same algorithms that can be applied to even the simple Christmas game. So what I did was I modified the Christmas game that I took online right here and added some AI code to it. So basically made this a game where an AI can learn to beat it by itself. Okay, so let's say we want to train an AI and we want to go for a new AI. Okay, so it says how many time steps you want to run for. Recommended 2,000 for a kind of dumb AI and 20,000 for an overpowered AI. So we're just going to go for 20,000 right off the bat. I don't know if this will work too well because if you saw earlier, that went really fast. And I think it's because it needs to be on a higher resolution. I'm currently working off on my laptop, but typically I do it from a bigger screen. And so I think that might have something to do with why this is going so fast. But you can see that Santa's going by itself, right? And what you'll notice is it won't collect all the presents right now, but over time, it'll learn to grab those presents. And I'm not touching the keyboard at all. This is going by itself. Okay. So you see that already it's learning to play the game. from scratch, and already it's starting to learn to get those presents, right? You see that start sort of collecting those presents wherever they come, and it's doing it at pretty inhuman speeds because of how fast it's going. Okay, so we're currently at 18,000, and boom, we just hit 20,000. So this should be a relatively good AI. And now it's like, okay, training is complete. Do you want to see your own evil creation in action? Okay, sure. Let's take a look. I'm going to say yes. And here is the AI playing the game at incredibly high speeds. So again, I'm not touching this at all. And what this AI is doing right now, it learned it from scratch in the last minute or minute and a half. Okay,
Wow.
so I'm not touching this at all. And it's doing it by itself. And look at it. It's already at 150 out of 200.
Wow.
And I think the game has sped up so fast to the point where even the AI can't physically win anymore, I think. So it's just going to go down from now. However, I will show you something cool. So we saw that the game sped up over time. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this real quick. Let's specify AI and let's use pre-train. So we're just going to use what we just trained, the little robot we just trained and it learned to beat the game. And we're going to set it to this. Okay. Now, what we can do is obviously it looks really fast right now, right? And what we'll notice is once the score reaches about 150, the presence will speed up, right? They're speeding up over time, and they're speeding up so fast that Santa can't physically keep up, right? Because Santa's speed is not increasing, but the present speed is. And so no matter how good Santa is, Santa can't physically go fast enough to reach the presents. So let's modify the code here really quick. Let's go ahead and make the presents a little bit slower to begin with, and make Santa a little bit more powerful. Make him let's give him a buff. Okay, so let's go to the AI code. That's probably not it. And let's go to the Christmas environment, and we're basically looking for something called gift speed. Right here. Notice we set it to 3. Maybe 1 might be a better idea. Okay, and we'll say Santa's speed is 5. And we're going to be incrementing both Santa's speed and the gift's speed over time. So now we're not just incrementing the gift speed, we're also going to be increasing Santa's speed over time. And that's what we're looking for. So if we come down here, wherever we say Santa or gift increment, we're already incrementing it over time. It just seemed like the increment was not large enough. So let's go ahead and make that increase in speed for Santa a little bit larger, just to give him a little bit more leeway. Okay, let's try running this code again. But we didn't do much, right? We just modified, I think, we changed 3 values in the code. We just needed to know where to look. And if we try running this again, hopefully things are a little bit slower, and hopefully we can reach 200. Okay, so it's a little bit slower, but it's still pretty fast. So let's just go ahead and modify it one more time. We changed it down to 5, I think. Gift speed down to 5. Why don't we say 0.3? And we'll say Santa speed is 1. And we'll increment gifts by 0.1 and Santa by 0.3. Okay, so we're just playing around with the values at this point. And let's go AI pre-trained. Okay, still pretty fast. I think I know why, actually. I don't want to be debugging during the demo, though. But that was sort of what I wanted to show you, I guess. We'll just put it at that. I don't want to bore you guys to death. So basically, here's an AI. It just learned how to beat the video game. If you want to do something similar, you probably won't have the knowledge to implement the AI, but you certainly have me, and I can help you out. And I think what you can do, right? So this can just be abstracted out to you, right? You can just have the code for this, but what you can do is do what we did here, the prompting. So you can create an entire game just out of prompting, right? So say like, okay, well, this is how the game is supposed to be played, and I'm just going to keep prompting the user. And I think this is straightforward enough. In fact, we're going to go through a very short, from scratch code, and I'll show you guys exactly how this is done right here. But let's go ahead and check out another game really quick. So I've here basically, if you guys, I want a question or a response here. Have you guys played the game Cookie Clicker before? And Rudy, just let me know what they say.
Yeah.
I've played Cookie Clicker before.
You guys have played Cookie Clicker?
Yeah,
I have.
Yes.
see quite a few yes.
Some
no's, but a lot of quite a few yes.
Okay, yeah. And here's one on a browser, for example. It's very simple. You just click the cookie, you make some number of cookies, and then you get to upgrade. And that'll increase your income. See that? Like I get 0.1 cookies per second now. And I'm just gonna keep spamming this. But I don't know about you, but I really hate clicking my cursor because it gets boring. And it takes so much effort just to reach 100 cookies so that I can buy grandma here. That sounded really terrible, but
yeah.
But so yeah, now as computer scientists, as coders, as programmers, we have more resources at hand. And so instead of having to click this cookie by ourselves, we can actually create a program to beat this game for us, to click for us. And I actually have here a little program that I wrote completely in Python, very, very simple code, that'll allow me to do so. So we're basically hacking Cookie Clicker here, okay? So I'll show you guys just how little code it is. That's it, 20 lines of code, okay? And it's 20 lines, and even that, a lot of it's just empty space, okay? So this is all the code I have here. Yet, if I run it, source, deactivate, source, okay. If I run it, it'll open up my Google Chrome browser and go to the Cookie Clicker game that we were just at. And just like that, no hands. It's clicking the cookie for us. And it's doing it a lot better than I can do. It's clicking it a lot faster than I can.
Right.
Right. And that's this right here, the robot, the little AI that we just implemented. It was only with 20 lines of code. So I think it's completely doable. So if you're also interested in hacking some old Flash games I used to play online, I don't know if you guys have played Congregate online or Epic, what was it, Epic Games? I played Epic Games a lot. There was Cool Math Games, that's a classic. And just any of those games, if you wanna do something where you're creating a program to hack that game, you can feel free to do that. That's also very feasible, but it'll just take a little bit more work on your end because there is a learning curve to this. I'm showing you all these super cool stuff, but the cooler it is generally, the harder it is to implement, and the more code, the more stuff you're gonna have to learn by yourself, more frustration and all that. So that's actually one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is think of something cool, but more importantly, think of something that's feasible, that you can do within the next 3 months. I know a lot of you guys will talk about, prop hunt, Minecraft and all that. I'll tell you that's super awesome, and I really like that you guys are thinking this stuff, but I don't think they're feasible within a time frame given your current skill set. I think you guys should narrow down your list of interests down to something that you find cool and something that you think you can, implement feasibly and reasonably. And don't worry if you actually don't have this down yet, because that's why us ambassadors are here. We're here to sort of hear your ideas out and let you know whether or not your ideas are possible. And if they are possible, then we're completely committed to helping you out with your project. So any sort of questions you might have, we're going to be here, and there's going to be a system set in place for you to ask us questions so that we can help you out as we go along through the semester. So there's going to be hopefully a lot more interaction between you guys as the students and us as the ambassadors and as the technical support, the IT support. So that was Cookie Clicker. If you guys are interested in hacking video games, that's something you can look into. Now I have Mario here, which I don't think you guys have seen before either. But basically, I took. If you guys have you guys played Super Mario Bros? I don't know if you guys were around when Game Boys were really
Memories,
popular.
bro. Memories.
Memories. I have no idea what Memories is.
No. He's saying like memories of playing it.
Oh, Memories. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. My childhood.
Most everybody here has seen or played some form of it.
Okay, cool. When I was growing up, I played it on my Game Boy and then switched over to Nintendo DS.
Right.
But I think nowadays you guys just have Nintendo 3DS or maybe something more advanced. Nintendo Switches, honestly.
Yeah.
You guys have a Switch. But yeah, I think we've all seen it at some point, right? Now, typically that's coded in some random language, I don't know, C++. I found an online implementation that does it in Python. Okay, so I again took this online, and we're going to take a look at it real quick. How does it look like running Python? Right here. And it's actually pretty loud. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound, but it's pretty loud on my end. But we're going to go ahead and just play a level. Look at that. Here's my little Mario guy. And he's going to be, it's a little bit slow right now because I'm playing on my laptop. I think it likes larger resolutions. So I was playing on my bigger display. Then this would be a little bit smoother, but my roommate's asleep right now, so I don't want to wake him up. And so yeah, this is Mario running Python. So you can do something similar. Find a Python implementation for Mario online. And then basically, I'm sorry, it was a little hard to hear me just now. You can do something very similar. So go online, find Mario implementations using Python, and just download it, right? Just use their code straight up. And what you can do is then build a project around their project, right? So we already have the code here, but say we want to play Mario, but we want to make some enhancements. We want to buff Mario, essentially, right? So currently Mario, it's fun and all, but you know what's not fun? Dying, right? I hate to lose. And right now, if I screw this up, if I run into a Goomba, for example, let me just run into this guy. Oh no, we died. Okay. Now, let's say I hate playing video games, but I do like beating video games. I don't like it when I die. And that's honestly pretty true. What I can do instead of playing it legitly is actually just to go into code here and modify it to my pleasure. Okay. Specifically, I'm going to go to the code for game over, where it's like, okay, if you hit a Goomba, then you're dead. And I'm going to say, no, if I hit a Goomba, I'm not dead. In fact, I'm going to say, no, I refuse to die. Okay, so I'm going to say that. I'm going to go ahead and run the program again. And if I did this correctly this time, I should not be able to die even if I hit a Goomba. So let's just go ahead and do this. Come on. Oh, little turtle guy. Oh my God, I killed the Goomba. No. Okay, never mind. Okay, look at that. I refuse to die. And I can't die anymore. Look, I'm standing right on top of this Goomba and I can't die. Okay. And I just modified that with a few lines of code. So that's the cool part about taking code online, is you're able to modify it to your liking. So whatever your vision is, you can do that too. Give me one sec. Why is this here? There we go, I'm back. So that's Mario. Again, you can just take this online and just modify it to your liking. And you can do something similar as my Christmas game, where you can then prompt the user as well, right? So right now, the way I'm running this is just saying Python main.py. But what you can do instead is say, welcome to my game. This is a Mario game that I took online. Do you want to play this game? Press 1 for yes, press 0 for no. You can do something similar like that, okay? Now, I do want to show you one more thing, and then we can go over a quick demo as to how to code this thing up, very, very short, and then we'll have a little Q&A, okay? So again, feel free to interrupt me whenever. This should be, if this is a discussion, then by all means, I'd love that. Here is a chatbot that I took off online. You're kind of getting the pattern right here, right, of taking things online. That's sort of what I want to be drilling into you. Online, there's a ton of resources, and it's honestly a skill to even find this sort of stuff online, right? That, funny enough, that's a skill. So I do want to encourage you guys to be looking stuff up online, because that'll be sort of the saving grace for you.
Yeah, and next week, actually, Eric and I are going to meet on Sunday, and we're going to talk about kinds of searches you can do, but make it an assignment so that we can have you to actually do popular searches when you're trying to figure out what to do with your coding and how to like problem solve. We're going to actually have that as kind of an assignment. He's just going to give me some resources so that I can put it in an assignment form, and you'll have to like do the searches and screenshot what you're seeing so that you're understanding what's going on each of those searches.
Yeah, and Rudy will also guide you guys on how you can go about that, so you guys have enough knowledge to do the assignments. But yeah, so this is my last thing. Here is a chatbot. I don't know if you guys have, played around with them before. There's this online chatbot. I think it's just called chatbot. I've definitely played with this before, but it's not this thing. It's literally just an online chatbot that you can just talk to. Chatbot now. I don't know. I guess they took the website down. But yeah, I don't know. Have you guys played around with the chatbot before online? There used to be just this website where you can just hop on and you can just chat with it right now. Have you guys done that before?
I have.
Yeah, I know. I've had fun with it before, but you can actually do that yourself in code. So I'm loading up this chatbot here, and look at it. It's training on conversations. It has emotions, quote unquote. It knows about food, about gossip, about greetings, health, history, all that. And now it's going to prompt me. And I actually modified this code. So I added these prompts. Before that, it didn't exist. This is my program, 100%. And I just took this chatbot online, but all of this rest of the stuff is all me. So you can do something similar as well. I can show you the code. It's not a lot. So let's say I say hello. Oh, okay. Robot Eric says hi. Okay. What is your favorite food? We'll ask it that. My favorite subjects. Okay. So unfortunately, Robot Eric isn't very smart. He unfortunately was just the runt of the rudder. So he says, my favorite subjects include robotics, computer science, and natural language processing. You didn't answer my question, my friend, but we're going to pretend we didn't see that. What is your name? That's certainly true. When I like something, I always overdo it. Okay, you do you, my friend. Okay, so clearly this robot isn't very smart, but what you can do differently is you can find a better version of a chatbot online, okay, and integrate it into your own program. I'm going to show you the code real quick. This is all it is. Again, 20 lines of code, a lot of which is just empty space as well. Okay, so up here, I'm just importing the chatbot that I found online. And then I'm going to be creating the chatbot, just like when you create Turtle. I'm going to create a chatbot called chatbot and save it into this variable. And then I'm going to create a trainer for that, which basically will be its coach. So we're going to be training it in real time. And all we have to do is call the library's train function. Okay, so we have this trainer here. We're going to call the coach's train function and train our little bugger, basically. Train it on the spot. And then from there, here is basically what you can implement. So here's a while loop. You've learned that before. So while true, we're going to say, okay, take in some input. So here's what the user sees, and say we're going to wait on the user to input something and save it into this variable. And if whatever the user says bye, we're going to print robot Eric : bye Eric, Otherwise, we're going to get a response from robot Eric. And so we're going to pass it into this function right here, or chatbot.getResponse. And then we're going to get a response from you. Okay, which was, or passing in you as the argument. And this entire return statement is just going to be my response as robot Eric. Okay, so that's literally it. This is the entire chatbot code. And I think this is very doable in 3 months. And you guys can definitely be a lot more creative than I've been. So those are some demos. Okay, we're running a little short on time, so I'm just gonna show you one little functionality that I think you guys will find very useful, and that's called the input command. So we're gonna create a test.py. Okay, and there's a thing called input in Python, which basically will prompt you for something. So we're gonna say input, what is your name? And this will basically act as a function saying, when you call this, I want you to print this to the screen, and I'm going to wait for a response from the user. And when a user gives a response and clicks enter, we're going to save it into this variable called name. And down here, I'm going to say, response received. Your name is, plus name. Okay. And we're going to run this very simple program. But you can see down here, when I run it, it says, what is your name? And it's going to wait here forever until you tell it its name. So I'm going to say, okay, my name is Eric. Press enter. Response received, your name is Eric. So that's the core functionality of prompting the user. And you can build entire applications off of this. In fact, if you're into those sort of storyline games, I don't know if you've played probably not Mass Effect, Detroit is Human, I think. And just really a lot of games out there where Cyberpunk's one of those games. I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah, a real popular one.
Really popular one. Everyone's talking about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My roommate has a really good computer. It's like some huge Alienware, and he bought Cyberpunk when it came out, and he played it so much. I was just watching him. But Cyberpunk is one of those games where you can make decisions in the game, and so we can say, okay, well, one decision is. You're in the we'll say you are in a game. Your character name is, and then we'll say 1 for Eric, 0 for Rudy. And then that'll be your prompt. You can say print, if name equals 1 or 1, sure. Then print, you chose Eric, exclamation mark. Otherwise, if the name is 0, then it says you chose Rudy. Okay. And if we run this, it's like you're in a game. Your character is 1 for Eric, 0 for Rudy. We're going to say 0. Oh, it didn't print. Let's go ahead and debug that real quick. So we'll debug live now. What just happened? We input 1 or 0, but somehow this if statement didn't get triggered. That's weird. We're going to debug on the spot. Okay, so let's say, what is name here? I'm expecting it to be 0, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be 0. Okay, so we're going to run this. We're going to put in 0. Whoa, it printed 0. So for some reason, name is 0, but it's not passing that if statement we put there, where it's like if name equals 0. Well, let's take a look at the type of 0 or of name. We're going to say type here, and let's run the exact same thing. Uh-oh, it says the class or the type of our 0 is type string. But look at what sort of comparison we're making here. We're saying if name equals 0 as an integer, which are 2 different types. So this is a string that up here. This is a string 0, and this is an int 0. Uh-oh, big difference. If we want to fix this, then we need to convert either both of them as a string or both of them as an int. And let's just make both of them ints here. So we're going to encapsulate this as an int and this as an int. And if you've never seen this sort of syntax before, don't worry about it. This is just an easy way to convert something into an int. And you have 3 months, you have a lot of time, you have a lot of help to do this sort of stuff. So don't worry about it if you don't know it now. Hopefully, if you run into this issue at some point, we'll be here to help you out, and you'll have Google to help you out as well. And so if we run this one more time, it should be able to work now. Uh-oh. Hey, we put in 0 and it says you chose Rudy. So yay, our program worked. And so you can create entire video games off of this, right? You can imagine you can have this whole storyline of, say, you know, you're in the middle of the cyberpunk universe. You know, you got Keanu Reeves asking you a question saying, what's your name, partner? And then you ask for input. And then the name will just be whatever the user inputs. And then once the user puts in an input and specifies their name, you'll have Keanu Reeves saying, nice to meet you, Eric, or nice to meet you, Rudy. We got a mission for you. You got to do something for us. And then that's where you continue the storyline. All 100% your creativity. I think it's simple enough to do. So that's a video game that you can create. I think that's very feasible.
Yeah, especially for some of you that are just like maybe you're not graphic oriented in terms of graphics, but you're like really into storyline creating. Like you're really into telling stories. That's a good way to do it. I really like that.
Yeah, so totally. This is definitely one of those ways you can do this. So yeah, that's all the demos I got. So is there any questions up to this point? Anything you guys would like to talk a little bit about?
Let me scroll through. So guys, remember this semester is mostly driven by you. Last semester was driven by us because you needed to learn you needed to understand how coding works and the process. This now is more about you. So you can't get probably to your goal is programming wise until you let us know what you need or what questions you have. This is all you. So if you don't ask, then we're assuming that you kind of know the direction that you're going and how to get there. But, you know, that's kind of dangerous because you kind of need as much help as you can get. And so that's why we're here. So this is more you. So even if you're not comfortable on camera or using your voice, make sure you put it in the chat because this is what we base our discussions on. So the discussion that you had today where Eric's demoing all these games and ideas, that's basically going on what you submitted as your project proposals. That's the direction that he went according to what you put. So I know you're not used to this in other classes. It's like, here is what we're going to cover no matter what. Too bad, right? This is the opposite of that. So let's take advantage. So I'm scrolling up and I see a question here. Oh, okay. You saw it. Okay. You saw it.
Yeah. So I think, sorry if I butchered this name, Valeria?
Valeria.
Okay, cool. So your question was, how do you fill everything with color? I believe there's just a function in Turtle that allows you to do that. Mm-hmm. So you can totally just look it up. Okay, let's just do a quick Google search. You know, this is a skill that we actually want you guys to learn is how to Google search things. Okay, so let's say Turtle, Python Turtle, how to fill shape with color. Right here, first thing right off the bat. And what does it tell us? It tells us that there's a begin fill and an end fill function, as well as a fill color. And it tells us exactly how this works. And so down here is some sample code, as well as what it does. Okay, so congrats. You just learned how to fill something in Turtle.
And the good thing about this, Valeria, is this is recorded. So if you need to reference this search again, it's going to be there for you. You just scroll all the way down to the part where he talks about this and take it from there.
Oh, and also, I totally forgot. I have one more little thing. Sorry, Rudy, if I'm going over time.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Someone mentioned that they're interested in music, okay, and building simple applications. And I actually do have a recommendation for you. You can actually generate your own music. Now, the generation part is way out of your skill cap right now because it requires a lot of, it's even out of my skill level. It's a lot of AI stuff. But what you can do is borrow the code to generate music. And from there, again, build an application around the code you took online. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick. Now, here is this little little tool I found online, which allows you to generate music using AI pretty much. And I'm not going to run it now because it takes a while to run, but I'm going to take off my headset here. You can actually hear the music generated by the AI. Let's take a look. Let's give it a run. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
That's not human generated music. That's the AI. That's the computer. The
Wow.
computer learned to generate music, and the humans didn't teach it,
Mhm.
or rather, the humans didn't code it. We'll put it
Right.
out. The AI learned to do that by itself. It learned how to play that music and learned how to create that music. And so that's something that you guys won't know how to do, but you can grab whatever I was looking at, grab the same tool online. I'm gonna put this question in the chat here. This is the music generator tool. You can use that and build an application around it. So notice that in the tool, I'm share my screen again real quick. The tool has different parameters or arguments that it takes in. For example, if you know anything about music, you know how many measures there are. Measures are just like a bar of music. It's like there's just a group of notes. And so you can specify how many notes are generated, I think through steps. I don't know if that's notes or, okay, each melody will be 8 measures in length corresponding to the num steps flag. Okay, so there's going to be 128 measures apparently. And the num outputs and all that, these are all arguments that you can change. You know, it doesn't have to be 10 here. You can put 1. It doesn't have to be 128. You can put 64 or 28, 10, 5, whatever number you want. And one idea for an application for whoever's interested in music generation is you can use this tool and then build the prompting application around this tool and say, hello user, welcome to my music generation application. What do you want to do today? Do you want to generate music or do you want to just do nothing? Tell me 1 to generate music, tell me 0 to do nothing. And if the user inputs 1, then you're going to be like, okay, thank you for wanting to generate music. What sort of numbers do you want to be putting in here? How many measures do you want? Give me a number. How many, notes do you want? How many different music stuff do you want? Do you want a beginner level music or do you want a more advanced level music? So these are all things that you can prompt the user, and then user will then tell the application what to do. And you can then use those arguments as parameters inside the tool that you found online. So again, you don't have to create the tool. You can build an application around the tool. As long as you know how to use the tool, that's a challenge already. I think it's already a really big challenge just to know how to use the damn thing. But once you do know how to use it, totally feel free to put it as part of your app. Okay, I hope that much is clear. Don't be afraid to do stuff online.
That link, I put it in the classroom stream.
Awesome.
So this way, if it disappears from the chat, no one's already on the stream anyway. So I see the couple of questions there. Do we have to do the project in Python and for coding with Tringwork? Eric, do you want to?
I'm going to start with Valeria because that was early.
Okay.
It's only drawing with shapes. I believe Turtle only takes in shapes. But again, remember you can do the pen up and pen down. Or if you have the pen down, you can do whatever you want, right? You just say pen down and then you specify the path that Turtle takes. And from there, it'll draw a line along whatever path your Turtle took. Remember when I did the Spyro and the tree and all that? That's with Turtle, and those aren't shapes built into Turtle. Those are shapes that I drew myself. So you could totally do something like that too. Like imagine your Turtle is a paintbrush, right? You can do whatever you want with a paintbrush, so long as you know when to start painting, when to lift your painting or your brush,
and what sort of design you want to be drawing. That's the important part. So it's really just up to you how you implement it. Camila says, do we have to do the project in Python? If you're a tech guru already and you know programs other than Python, by all means go for it. But I would say for simplicity, I would recommend Python. But again, if you already know another language, or you really know that you can do it, you can learn a new language in 3 months and you can create an entire project out of it, by all means go for it. We'll support you. Osiris says, for coding art, will Trinket work? So Trinket's the online editor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should work. At least
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work for Pygame. I haven't tried it yet, or any of the other libraries that I showed you guys. But for sure, Turtle will work, and for sure you can code art using Turtle.
Cool. Any a lot of information, guys. so it's let me stop. Okay, here's another question.
If you're doing a video game and just change some of the coding, is that your finished product or project? Like, is it that quick? Honestly, dude, it can be as simple as you want it to be. I'm really trying to make the point that I'm not expecting you to code Minecraft from scratch. I'm not expecting you to make the next biggest thing. I just want you to have fun. I think that's the biggest deal. I want you to have fun, and hopefully within the next 3 months have something to show off. Okay.
Yeah.
What I don't want is like in May you don't have anything at all.
Right.
So
what you should do, Aleti, is kind of take notes and see how the process that Eric is using when he's showing you the game, how it looks on the end at the finished product, but then the steps that he took to kind of modify that game. So know how to modify it to explain it to somebody. Even if it was something as simple as modifying a couple things here and there. Yeah, he did. It looks simple like that, but it's actually more complicated to kind of explain it to somebody like a parent or somebody that is coming from the outside trying to figure out, well, how did you make the game yours? So you have to take them into that process. Like, well, here I got to this game generator, I copied the code, and then I made this that's probably the more complicated part will be explaining it. But to explain it, you have to know how to do it.
And Rudy, you made an amazing point, because number one, you guys know coding now. You guys know a little bit. At least you guys know more than when you started off this year. Okay. And if you're trying to explain it to someone else, it's not that easy. It's really not that easy. It might seem easy for you, but for other people, this is magic. Okay. What I just showed you guys, that's magic. That's sorcery. That's wizardry. So different perspectives for everyone. And number two, one of the biggest points I want to drill in is nothing's as easy as it seems. What I just showed you guys there, I made it look easy because number one, I was prepared. I knew where everything was already. And number two, I've done this long enough and I'm experienced enough to the point where I can find it just like that. I can find it really quickly. Okay. But you guys are not as experienced as I am, I assume. And so I'll give you an example. The bug we just ran into where we asked for a name and then 1 for Eric, 0 for Rudy. And then, I put in 0 and it didn't pass the if statement. And the solution was that it was a string, not an integer, right? That easily, if you didn't know what you're doing, that could easily take you an entire week just to figure out easily. Okay. But I've done this long enough where I knew the issue. But if you didn't know about that, and you don't know your data types, or you're just not comfortable yet with doing this sort of stuff, that'll easily take up 1 or 2 weeks. So really, whatever seems simple, like you can do, that's what I want you to pursue. Do something that you can do, okay? Because chances are that's already hard enough, and that's going to take you the whole 3 months, whether or not you think it's easy or not, or even though you think it's easy. The easier it is, the more feasible it should be, because ultimately coding this sort of stuff, you've never done it before. So it's going to take a lot longer than you'd expect. And I'd put that as part of my schedule.
Okay. So Any other questions? I know you're probably taking this in, and your mind's going everywhere in terms of what you want to do. That's okay. We have time at this point. We have a lot of time because it's early in the semester. We have a lot of time. I'm not going to bombard you with a bunch of assignments that typically would with my other classes. It's not going to be, your assignments will be more discussion based. What we're seeing, especially in these sessions, what we're talking about, the problems that we're encountering, that's going to be most of your assignment, your reflection. Easy, but it's not hard to do that. It's gonna you're gonna be mostly based on this kind of discussion. Like, boom, like, what did you learn? One question might be, one assignment might be, hey, just answer this simple question. What did you think of your choice in terms of what you wanted to do coming into this session, and then you have to present after you received all the information, how did it change your decision now? Do you still want to stick with that type of project? Or if you're changing it, why are you changing it, right? Well, and your simple answer could be, well, I saw the amount of time that it would take, considering what I want to produce, and I think that I want more for this angle. You know, that's something like that, and it's not hard, but it requires you to pay attention and to reflect. Throwing it out there. Okay. So I don't see any more questions here. So I think we're at our limit. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. And this may take some time.